Good morning.
Morning. Morning time, because you could see the sun's
Yeah, I figured I'd give you that reference to make that
right,
explanation.
right through the windows this morning. But it's a bright, nice, sunny day in Chicago, so can't complain about that.
Well, and it may seem contrived by people, but not by the right people. Um, Man, oh man, I just I wish I could put it in a pill. We talk red pill, blue pill. I wish I could put it in a pill. The excitement, the hope, the focus, the motivation that clarity brings. Um, Gotta translate into actions and results, but we know that's a given if we do the work. And we're about to kind of transition a little bit into content that I've been waiting to get to. That I feel like a little bit we've been just dangling, little hints for a few weeks as we got through the last few weeks of content. So, but today we start to dive in. I don't know how long this is going to take. Uh, it may take several weeks. It'll likely take several months um, to progress through it all. But to try and build a bridge between the last few weeks and where we are today and where what the direction is that we're kind of taking. Each week we've been talking about who we were, who we are now. We've alluded to who we were becoming through the process that you and I have been going through for the last several weeks. I don't know that we knew at the time that we were deciding to bring Realty Partners to an end um, and merge into a higher level collaboration with Real, that we were going through the process that we were going through. But now, in retrospect, which is the healthiest perspective to take anyway, that's exactly what we were doing. Um, we were deciding who we needed to collaborate with to 10x our business. And through that process and the process that we've gone through now over the last several weeks, gain clarity to just what we did then to get to the next level, what we've needed to do now to get to the next level. And we kind of always knew it's had to start with us. But again, I don't know that we grasp just how absolutely critical it was or how critical a role that played to the degree that we do now. Um, and so 2 years ago, we did it, got to the next level, which is, I'd say, where we are now. Is this the final level of our journey?
No, absolutely not.
And so here we are again, growing and becoming first who we need to become, and beginning to go to the next level yet again. Is the next level the final level of our journey?
Probably not.
Probably not. Um, but unlike before, and it's interesting to me. I wonder why the word freedom, when we talk, and somebody hears it as a cliche, somebody hears it as the ultimate motivation. I don't know why that difference exists. Maybe I do. Maybe we'll even talk about it here today. But freedom is our ultimate vision, and I don't think it would be enough. If it was just freedom for you and I. In fact, freedom for you and I really isn't even the point. What is the point from a freedom perspective?
I think it's inspiring freedom. And what I mean by that is showing others the way to achieve that for themselves and not only for themselves, but then giving them the ability to, help others achieve it if they want to. I think they talk about like, I've heard a lot of people talk about like the ripple effect, like who you're being or the causes that you support or the things that you're looking to do or accomplish in this world. And, um, how large of an impact you have is oftentimes determined by like how many people, right, you can directly impact or help or support along their journeys, right, and the things that they're trying to accomplish. So, freedom, I think, is, to your point, like a very broad statement, and it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I know what it means for me, right? I think you've got a definition, but
Well, and we better.
yeah, I think it,
Otherwise, what's the price that we're going to pay worth?
yeah. Well, when we get there, we'll definitely we'll definitely know, right? But I think what's more exciting for me, like, I'll tell you, I just had a conversation with like a 21-year-old kid who is looking to get into the business, and he wants to like eventually like run and open up his own businesses. He's a gym dude, like gym rat. So that's what he's passionate about. And you talk a lot about building the business that then funds your passions, right, and allows you to go do the things that you really want to do with your life. Unfortunately, there's like this necessary component to everything we really want to do with our life is that it's money, right? You need money to do things. Well, let me take that back. You can do a lot of things without money, but money just it gives you more choices, just gives you more options and the ability to do more, right? They say like money just amplifies the person that you are. So if you're a shitty person with a bunch of money, you're probably going to do more shitty things, right? If you're a good person, you get money, you can amplify that and help more people. But that I think that the conversation with him and where he's at mentally and what he's trying to accomplish and just the fact that we can actually help him do that is extremely inspiring to me. It's like every time I have one of those conversations that kind of reinvigorates me, right? It gets me like all fired up again. It's kind of like I'm living again through that person, right? Hearing it for the first time and then being able to share with him those ideas and then give them a clear pathway forward to accomplishing that goal. So that's what's most fun, I think, for me in all of this.
Well, and so freedom. I mean, we've talked in terms of financial freedom. We've reviewed the fact again and again that most of America lives in financial insecurity. That
Mm-hmm.
most people's conditioned goal by the system is financial security by a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they even think about financial independence or financial freedom or financial impact. I think it's so far and above what the system, society says is okay. And we do aim to change that. So define freedom in time, and this is defining it in the sense of time. We'll get into each of these a little bit more, but in the sense of more money and resources, in the sense of relationships, and by that we mean the relationships that you want, the relationships that collectively for you and for them garner the most outcome and ultimately achieve the greatest purpose. So that's the definition of the goal. And again, I should have said this from the beginning. We're talking to all of you. It won't resonate with all of you, not today. May not resonate till tomorrow, next week, next year, may not resonate for a decade. Nothing inherently wrong with that. But we are looking for collaborative partners. So if it resonates with you now, we'd like to explore that. And so that's the goal. Ultimate, absolute freedom of time, money, relationships, and the quality of the life and purpose that you're living. Here's the dilemma, and we've alluded to it a little bit throughout already. But whenever we begin to imagine bigger and better, there's an inherent problem in the way that we think because of the way that we've been conditioned. What is that?
Well, when you ask someone those types of questions, and we got the man, I can't. Maybe we'll just like we should spend the day just kind of going through the questions we ask people. Um, so anybody watching this can kind of go through that thought
We will.
process for themselves. But um, the most common response I get back is, "How can I do that?" or "How is that possible? How can I create those type of results?"
And what is inherently wrong with how?
Well, how is it's very it's a very linear thinking, and oftentimes when we're asking how, well, from my perspective, and I'll throw my twist on it. When someone's asking like how, I think they're really talking about the like the exact steps or work that they need to do. And I think a lot of people get stuck, and this is huge because I think I know where you're going with this, but where a lot of people get stuck is like they think in the like I said, a linear fashion. Most people are getting paid per hour. I remember having this. I had this conversation with my dad a long time ago. I think I told you about this. Um, my dad's very used to the kind of traditional structure, 10, 20, 40, $50, $100 an hour. And I remember like the first time I shared like the income goals I had with him, um, he couldn't understand like how I would make that much money. And I had this epiphany. It's like, oh, well, he's thinking how much like how much time is that going to take, or how can I possibly work that many hours? So, if you're working 50, if you're making $50 an hour and you want to make $100,000 in a month, I don't know what that math is off the top of my head.
It's probably
2,000,
not possible.
right? So like the way most people think is like I said, in that linear fashion where it's like, okay, well, $100,000 a month, that's 2,000 hours a month, a month in work. It like just literally doesn't compute in their heads how they could, and I keep saying, I even like say it, like how they can accomplish that, right? Because how is the wrong question to ask when you're trying to take those type of leaps in your business or even in your life.
Well, and again, we can relate back to a lot of things. Left side of the quadrant, actively earning income. It's what I do. How can I achieve that goal? It's beyond our level of belief in our current situation and our current capabilities. And the system has conditioned us to think that way, in part because, in school, if you look at your neighbor's test answers, what are you doing?
Cheating.
So to get help to achieve a goal is cheating. And that's how we were raised. And so we don't ask who, we ask how. And the different question, as we've already alluded to, would be who can help me achieve this bigger, better objective that I have? And that simple shift in your mindset, if you'll stick with us through this entire conversation, and again, if it's resonating with you and you say, aha, at any moment, we should have a deeper collaborative conversation. John's alluded to the collaborative conversations that we have. It's all about your goals and who can help you achieve them. But I digress. So imagine now if um, you asked who instead of how about everything that you wanted to accomplish, everything you've been procrastinating and putting off doing. How would your goals change if we found help in achieving everything that we want to accomplish instead of asking how can we do it ourselves? How much bigger might your goals become if it simply became about who could help you achieve them versus how can I do it? When again, you don't have the belief, or the capability, or believe that you have the capabilities to do it on your own, or the time, like your dad, like the story about your dad. You can't work 200 hours a week, son. Aha, that's not what I have to figure out, Dad. Right?
Yeah. Well, and you
Uh,
you got a couple things before you get too far away from it. I mean, who's and surrounding yourself with the right who's, or bringing in the right who's to partner with or collaborate with. They expand your belief level, they expand your confidence level. Um, Heck, dude, I'm purposely looking for who's that can do things around me better than I can do them
well,
because
you're looking for who's for the things that you can't do well.
I don't like that language. And this is and
Well,
I
it doesn't
I
matter.
guarantee hold on. So and I guarantee there's people listening to this that will say the same thing I'm about to say. And this is the shift in the mindset that needs to occur. Because I can do it better, right? Or I can learn how to do it, or I can figure it out. Those are limits that you're imposing on yourself.
What we need to do is let go of the mindset that I can do it better, because
Mhm.
we've been conditioned to believe getting help is cheating, and that's my point. Don't invest the time to do it better. If you're not a master of it now, find somebody that is.
And I guarantee you can find someone who's a master of it and will be happy to take it off your plate because that's their purpose, and what fulfills them is helping people do that thing that you're not the best at or someone else could be better at than you are, and it'll help you accomplish those goals in a collapsed time frame, like way faster than you could possibly think.
And to tie it back to the conversation that we've been having, and again, particularly focused on you team leaders or independent broker owners, what you need to be investing your time into is growing your roster. Now, I implied you need to. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe that's not your unique ability. If it isn't your unique ability, as the visionary leader of whatever you've begun to create, you started there. I'm assuming you've got some skill sets there. And so for most of us, devoting more time to growing our rosters where we need to spend our time, and which I guarantee you is the thing you're saying I don't have time to do. Why? Because you're doing all these other things that either aren't best suited for you, or you need to find a who to handle growing your roster so that you aren't putting limitations on yourself on the inability you have to grow your roster, but there's still the primary focus needs to be growing your roster. Um, and so identifying, and we've referred to it as the 80% of the 20%. The 80% of the things that you're busy with are the things you need to find the who's to do and offload them to, or just get rid of them so that you're now focusing your time, energy, talents, unique skill sets on the 20% they're going to have the greatest impact on growing your business, ideally, if you're the visionary, growing your roster. But how would your confidence grow? John mentioned it. If you had, if you were leveraging many people to produce the results that you're looking for in your business, how would your time get spent if you weren't relied on to do everything? John's talked about that in some of the conversations we've had in the past. What might happen to your income? How might it change and increase if you were accomplishing every goal you had versus just the few that you can do yourself? And ultimately, how would the quality of the relationships that you have change if you could invest more of yourself into each of them? Right. Um, and what would that type of access to anyone or everyone, the best and the brightest that you wanted to learn from and collaborate with, what would that kind of access do for you? And then lastly, how would your sense of purpose expand if access to all these resources made hitting your goals, quote unquote, easy?
Yeah.
And that's the progression.
Yeah. And I think actually it gives, I think there's a few levels to find, and you said purpose. Um, I think some people are just like literally too busy to figure out like what their purpose is. Like they just have too much stuff going on. Really, because it takes a little bit to kind of sit down and think through that stuff and put some effort into it. And if you know your purpose, God bless. And I hope you're putting as much resources and time and energy and effort into your purpose and what you feel like you're meant to do here. And if you don't know it, then there's a gap there, right? In trying to discover it or find it. And imagine if either case, whether you know it or don't know it, but imagine when you've got a self-managing business or company or self-growing company or team that 80% of what you do right now that you don't really want to be doing is being handled by the right who's. You get to focus on the top 20% that will continue to increase your revenue, continue to increase your business. And all the 80% of time that's not freed up, you could put and just imagine if you were just doing what you really wanted to do or what you were really passionate about doing 80% of the time every single day. How would your quality of life change? How would your experience of life be different for yourself and who you're being and like the impact you're having and what you're like ultimately accomplishing while you're here?
Well, I mean, if they struggle with their purpose, which is just another word for their why, what's your why? If you don't know your why, you need to take a day off and figure that out. I know taking a day off could be hard,
Some people are like, dude, if I take a day off, my everything's gonna come off the rails.
but you got to that's where it all begins. So again, can you imagine all these things in your life? And if you can, then we may be like-minded, and you might be starting to get what it is that we've been talking to and alluding to. And I can just tell you again, for us, because this is what we were trained to do as a part of the process, the new and improved process, if you will, is to reflect. And we realized that 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, when we were grappling with bringing it into Realty Partners, our independent brokerage with 30 plus realtors, to go because we were stuck and not going to the next level, we began this process. It's just now because and you're going to have to go through that process each time. Each time you eliminate the 80% and focus on the next 20%, you do what? Go to the next level. So that's what we're in the process of doing. And it will create results. Why? How? Because you'll get more focus. You'll dial in your vision, your purpose in a more clear fashion. You'll identify and or fine-tune your unique ability. And you'll find more of the right who's, the right people to leverage as a one point. Anything on that? Nope. Also,
did good job, sir.
Again, so much of what you're going to struggle with is what you've been conditioned to think, like John's dad, like asking how instead of who. Delegate and that asking for help is somehow cheating. It's amazing what we've all been conditioned to believe to keep us where we are, or to keep us comfortable, or to keep us in a feeling of being safe, of attending to our needs and not our wants. I literally asked somebody over the weekend what they wanted, and the first thing out of their mouth was, I feel almost ashamed to say. What in the hell has happened to our culture? The greatest, I won't get into the, but to ask for help, to leverage people, to delegate is not exploitation. It is not indenturement. Why? Again, mindset, because we don't care who gets the credit. This isn't an ego trip for us. This is about having an impact. And to John, again, he's alluded, we will go through a grow conversation, but everybody on our team, the focus of ours on them is what their goals are, what their reality is, what are the obstacles they perceive are in their way, and what's the way forward that we can help them realize their purpose in life. So delegation is not exploitation. It will transform. Anytime you want to chime in. It will transform and expand your vision. Why? How? Because the more of the right people that you're around, that you're collaborating with, are bringing more to the table. They're making you better. They're creating, John said, more confidence, more belief in what you're capable of and what you can achieve. You will think bigger, period.
It's the iron sharpens iron adage, right?
Well, and it's important to remember in that it goes both ways. You are a who to somebody in some aspect too. Somebody's leveraging you in a healthy collaborative scenario. So you will become, and others around you will become, in that self-managing, internally motivated distribution machine that John talked about. It'll be made up of transformational leadership, because it's almost impossible not to be a transformational leader as your vision. And you alluded to the time to figure out your purpose, but as you have more time because you have more resources and you're having better relationships, you'll have more clarity in that purpose and vision. And for the right people, that will be transformational as they become the same. And lastly, and I love this one the best, we're playing chess. Everybody else is playing checkers. Why? How? Because we are focused on who can help us, and how can we be a who and help them pursue our wants unapologetically versus satisfying the needs that we think we have because of society. Everybody else is playing checkers because they're trying to figure out how. They're trying to make $100,000 a month working 200 hours a week, and they think it's they should be ashamed to want more than that. So, folks, if you're tired of playing checkers and you want to start playing chess, let's have some collaborative conversations.
Yeah, I love the checkers and chess. If you think of, what checkers, you can only move one space at a time. Mm-hmm. So it's a very linear game. And, if you look at, of course, you got pawns, right? I think pawns are the pieces, and the king, they can move one space at a time. But on chessboard, you can move a lot of different ways, a lot of different directions. Just gives you a lot more, to your point, a lot more options become available when you start surrounding yourself with the right people and start collaborating essentially to help each other. And I love one of the things you said is like, I think where some of the discomfort comes in that word leveraging other people, is they believe that if they're leveraging other people, then they're somehow taking advantage of them, right? Or there's something like you're above or whatever. But leverage goes both ways. And if it's a mutual leverage where you're leveraging them, they're leveraging you, and you're leveraging each other to push each other up to the next level or help each other accomplish that next bigger goal, then that's what we call win-win. And that's what we always strive for.
Well, and I'm going to challenge some of you leaders out there, you team leaders, you independent brokerage leaders. Listen, I'm sure that there are some that aren't sincere, but I believe most of you are. I believe most of you are just a product of the system, if you will. But ask yourself honestly, in the current scenario that you're leading, because as John put it, there are scenarios where leveraging people is taking advantage of them, and maybe not so much taking advantage of them in some of the team structures I've seen as limiting them. Again, not with any malice or bad intent, but it's what they've been taught. The traditional team has been, the structure that's been taught is to create dependency on you through lead generation, through administration, through et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, you just mentioned somebody that has been labeled as a buyer's agent. I can't think of a more limiting title than buyer's agent. And inevitably, now, not everybody, there will be people that might enjoy being a buyer's agent for 80 years until they're 90, if that math works out. But I would think for most people, it's going to become burdensome just in the limiting nature of it. They want more. And how can you provide them more? How can you build an organization, self-managing organization that's built around your collaboration partners' goals? What's their purpose, and how is your organization, helping them realize their purpose. And if you look at your situation and realize, well, I'm probably not building that type of an organization, but I sure want to. Again, you're like-minded to us, and let's just have a collaborative conversation, because that's the origins of where we've come from. That's what we wanted to do. We want to help our collaborative partners realize their purpose, period.
Perfect way to wrap up. I'm excited to get into, I think, actually, I'm not going to preface that's every week's going to be a surprise for you guys. But I think we definitely dive deeper into the who, not how. I've got a couple examples I'd love to share, and then like this kind of illustrate to you guys in real life, real time, like how these concepts are starting to help us explode our business right now for some tangible stuff. But a lot more to come on that. I would say this, and on my in closing, just if you guys like the conversation, like the video, right? If you want to just be in the loop on this conversation as it progresses and as we get deeper and deeper into this, subscribe to get notified. And if you got value in this or believe that someone could get some value, please share it with them. This is what we do this for, is to get this information out and really to find collaborative partners and to make a difference in other people's lives.
All right. Well, I called this. What did I call this? I called it Level 2, Session 1.
Perfect. I love it.
Are we looking at 3 levels or 10 levels or 20 levels?
I would say 5.
I would say unlimited.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. Unlimited levels.
Whatever they are, I called this Level 2, Session 1. So more to come.